The U.S. Forest Service is actively hiding portals in the forest.
Every major religion on Earth has one thing in common and nobody talks about it.
We figured it out. Take a bite of our new product.
Welcome back to The Blame Game, where everyone's got someone to blame. Our contestant has already successfully blamed 2 groups for his life's problems. So, contestant, who are we going to blame next?
Oh man, this is a hard one. Do I have to pick one at a time? Can I phone my favorite podcaster?
Welcome back to Dark Dive Reacts. It is Easter weekend. I am filming on Saturday, so this probably won't get out until Monday or Tuesday, but I just wanted to wish everybody a happy holiday. No matter how you celebrate or what you do, please be safe out there. All claims in these videos are alleged. Viewer discretion is advised, and this is for entertainment purposes only. So, with all of that being said, let's get into it. Let's take a dark dive.
Why is it coming out in the news that the U.S. Forest Service is actively hiding portals in the forest? I'll add more validity to his claim in just 1 minute. Right before I let you hear this, why is it there's so many places that we just cannot go? And these places seem to have some weird phenomenon happening in the sky and around it, and disappearances.
But just one thing I want to throw out here, and I want to cause a bit of mischief with the US government. I've just been somewhere in the United States where I know there is another portal. And I know the United States knows about it. And I was there just the other day. And guess what? It's got a big fence around it, lots of security signs. It's supposedly US Forest Service.
Pretty odd, right? Hey, do you remember when this guy was making portals in his bed, going through them, and they ended up on YouTube, and the guy went actually missing and never found? That's wild. Hey, one time I was at a national park with my brother and my now wife, and we were sitting outside of the woods, and we saw this orb coming up out of the woods. And as it floated higher and higher, it was dropping orbs, super big orbs, out of under it. And then this orb started going right towards us, and when it went over the top of the car, it turned into a triangle for a split second, then was gone.
You must have been under the influence.
Yeah, so about that, we all saw it at the same exact time. And I remember before going into the woods saying, something does not feel right. I'm not alone. There's a lot of people who have seen these really sketchy occurrences in the woods. You too? Tell me.
Even though they seen it at the same time, he still didn't admit if he was under the influence or not.
Yeah, about that. Have you seen some of the newest headlines? Invisible hazard floating in the air. Like situation. No, I don't know anything about this. But that whole thing does have me thinking. If I was in my villain era and was going to be an evil genius of sorts, while everybody was paying attention to conflicts they don't really understand or arguing about issues that really have no resolve, I would focus on the one thing they're not paying attention to and the one thing they only have a certain amount of control over, and that's their health. And I would start by creating some mutant bacteria. I would beef it up with enzymes from different funguses. That way, most antibiotics would be useless against it. I'd make it so bad the critically ill and people on stuff like ventilators, half of those kinds of people wouldn't even stand a chance.
The World Health Organization has issued a warning saying that drug-resistant infections, often called superbugs, are spreading at an alarming rate. The WHO says 1 in 6 bacterial infections worldwide can no longer be treated with antibiotics, threatening decades of medical progress and putting millions of lives at risk. Joining
Superbug. Yeah, that sounds about right. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to do the same thing to a virus and start a super flu. Fever, sore throat, runny nose, vomiting. I'm going to hit them where it hurts. And I'm going to make sure this gets spread worldwide.
Doctors are preparing for a surge in flu cases this week after recent CDC data shows nearly 5 million cases across the country already. New York State is seeing its worst flu outbreak in more than 2 decades.
And how I'm going to do that is the genius part. Nobody's going to expect it. I'm gonna do it with microplastics, and not in a way anybody would suspect. Spread it through the air. See, not only does bacteria like to grow on microplastics, but so do viruses. They hitchhike on the microplastic. Then I'll take a page out of the history playbook where they sprayed a bacteria in San Francisco Bay. Operation Sea Spray, they called it.
Dulles gave permission for Sidney Gottlieb to use a fireboat to spray germs into the fog in San Francisco Harbor. The point was to try to infect 800,000 people.
Sprayed it into the fog. That sounds just like the testing that was done in St. Louis.
Now to a News Nation exclusive investigation into a secret government experiment that was carried out in St. Louis. Residents tell us they still remember a mysterious fog. Children would run through it. Mothers would try and close their windows against it. For decades, they all had questions, and now we're seeking answers.
Oh, and by the way, I'm just curious. Has it been foggy at anybody else's house lately? But anyway, yeah, once my evil plan's fulfilled, these microplastics will be in people's brains, their livers, and even their hearts. Then the real question is, what else can I add to these bacteria and viruses, since they're already in people's bodies anyway? Y'all stay safe.
I really feel like all of us regular people are just part of their experiment. We are just the test subjects. I don't understand why they have to, experiment with these superbugs and all these other.
Approached by a powerful shadowy group with a life-changing offer. Join them and they will make you the next biggest star. But there's a catch. The initiation comes at a steep price that frankly, most aren't willing to pay. For you to receive the world, they must first receive the soul of a loved one. Now ask yourself, is that a deal you're willing to make? I know I wouldn't, but in Late Night with the Devil, that was an offer Jack Delroy couldn't refuse, as he does the unthinkable to become the top name in late night TV. While something like this only seems possible in a movie, I can assure you, the real-life inspirations behind this movie, including the secret gatherings at the real-world Grove, are even more unbelievable. Today, we will be decoding Late Night with the Devil to show how it completely exposed Hollywood. By the end of this episode, you will never see Hollywood the same again. Late Night with the Devil follows Jack Delroy, host of late night talk show Night Owls, who is returning after the tragic death of his wife. With his ratings tanking, Jack is willing to do anything to stay on top, a desperate move that many claim is the reality for those climbing the Hollywood ladder. He stages a Halloween special featuring a psychic, a skeptic, and a parapsychologist with her 13-year-old patient who survived a satanic cult. This cult worshipped a demon called Abraxas, a deity the parapsychologist claims the little girl is possessed by. Now make sure you remember that name because its real-world history is exactly why this movie is so deep, and we will be getting more into it later. The show takes a dark turn when the psychic starts projectile vomiting a black substance and dies. But things only get worse when the possessed girl tells Jack they've met before under the tall trees.
We go way back. We met amongst the tall trees.
For anyone who knows about the real-world Grove in the California Redwoods, that phrase is a direct Easter egg confirming what this movie is truly about. The film ends in pure chaos. In the most memorable scene of the movie, the demon takes over the little girl. Her head splits in half and glowing lava shoots out the top before she begins attacking everyone. Out of nowhere, Jack is suddenly transported to a nightmarish version of the show. This is where the movie stops being a story and starts becoming an expose. Jack didn't just stumble into this. It's revealed that Jack joined the Grove during a ceremony where he made a deal with the devil under the tall trees. He agreed to sacrifice his wife's soul in exchange for fame and ratings. In a final horrific moment of manipulation, Jack thinks he's ending his wife's suffering with a ritual dagger, only to realize he eliminated the young girl on live television. Now, while this might seem only believable in a movie world, you will be surprised at just how much this film got right, and how closely it mirrors reality. From the Night Owl symbolism to the secret society at the Grove, from the deals for fame to the heavy sacrifices attached to them, this wasn't just a movie, it was a glimpse at the hidden mechanics of Hollywood.
I believe that in Hollywood, you are forced to make a sacrifice in order to achieve a level of fame. What that may be, whether it's possibly written in their 1,000-page contracts, I don't know, but I just think that it's a trade-off that you make. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
Sequel Dr. Sleep reveals that the nightmare Danny faced at the Overlook Hotel was only a small part of a much larger evil. We find out that Danny, now an adult, struggling with the trauma of his past, is still being hunted. But this time, it's not by a haunted hotel. It's by a nomadic group of predators known as the True Knot. This group is led by a woman named Rose the Hat, and they aren't ghosts. They are psychic vampires who have lived for centuries by hunting down children who have the shining. They track these children, kidnap them, and put them through unimaginable pain because fear purifies their essence into the potent steam. They literally breathe in this steam to stay young and powerful. The way these monsters extract that steam is truly horrifying. We see this in the infamous baseball boy scene. After a baseball game, they wait for the boy to be alone, snatch him off the street, and surround him, not just to but to terrorize him. They need him at the height of his fear because terror purifies the harvest. Once he is completely drained of his life force, they bury him so the world never finds out. While this seems like a movie plot, it is actually a theatrical representation of what these real-life monsters are up to. It has long been alleged that the members of the shadowy elite feed off the fear-infused essence of the innocent. But it goes even darker when you realize what the steam is actually a secret metaphor for. As we saw in the recent files, that monster and his associates were targeting their young victims to harvest their primal vitality. They were obsessed with this untouched pure energy that is only found in the youth, and they wanted to take it from them by force. This innocent life force is exactly what they are referring to when they talk about the steam. It is the most valuable currency in the dark circles of the elite.
I've heard of it referred to, the A word, not steam. But it appears to be the same thing.
Every major religion on earth has one thing in common and nobody talks about it. Muslims circle a black cube in Mecca 7 times. Romans built their empire worshipping a black cube deity. The oldest temples on earth are oriented around Saturn's cycle, and it's not a coincidence. This is the oldest continuous ritual in all of human history, and once you understand what the cube actually encodes, you will never be able to unsee it. So let's get into it. The cube is the hexahedron. It's the only platonic solid with 6 identical faces, and those 6 faces produce 6 directions: north, south, east, west, up, and down. That's it. That's the complete enclosure of 3-dimensional space. The ancients weren't just worshipping a shape, they were encoding a cosmological boundary, the geometric signature of a reality locked inside time, matter, and limitation. Now, because Saturn in the esoteric tradition isn't just a planet, you have to keep in mind that Saturn is Chronos. This is the lord of boundaries, the great restrictor. It's the force that takes living experience and converts it into sequence, decay, and death. And the cube is its geometric fingerprint, a consciousness locked inside 3 dimensions with no visible exit rendered in the purest form. Oh yeah, and if you're interested in learning more about symbolism and esoteric traditions, make sure to comment the word sanctum down below. I'll send you some information about our esoteric community, the inner sanctum, and hopefully get you on the list the next time invites go out. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Kaaba in Mecca, circled 7 times, draped entirely in black. 7 is Saturn's number, the 7th day. The Sabbath, Saturday, literally is Saturn's day, and it's the holy day of 3 of the world's major religions all at the same time. And the Roman god Saturn devoured his own children to prevent being overthrown, which is just the mythological encoding of time consuming everything that it produces. I don't think these traditions are corrupt. What I think is that they're all interfacing, knowingly or not, with the exact same archonic frequency, the Saturnian current, the principle of limitation wearing the face of the sacred. But it goes even deeper than that. The Gnostics knew Saturn as the outermost archon, the most powerful administrator of the entire Kenoma, the demiurgic force sitting closest to matter and furthest from the pleroma. In Neoplatonic cosmology, Saturn is literally the last sphere that the soul passes through before it descends into incarnation. You come in through Saturn. You have to go back out through Saturn. But here's the part that I think almost nobody talks about. In the deepest alchemical readings, the cube isn't only a prison. The hexahedron is the geometric foundation of the Philosopher's Stone itself. The same shape encoding limitation, when you fully understand it and alchemize it, encodes liberation. The prison and the key are actually the exact same shape. So if you're interested in more deep dives like this, make sure to follow for more videos, like the video, and make sure to leave a comment with the word sanctum if you're interested in our esoteric community. I am slammed with invites right now, but I'll do my best to get back with you for some information and hopefully get you on the list to send out an invite when we do them next. So thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.
The black cube freaks me out. It's just like an eerie feeling to look at, especially the hexagon on Saturn. It's just like forbidden, the unknown. It's just such a creepy feeling that I get.
You think we are prisoners on Earth?
Yes, I really think so. The prison planet theory says Earth isn't just some random blue marble. It's a trap. The reincarnation cycle? That's not spiritual evolution. It's a system. Astral beings, call them reptilians, archons, whatever, are harvesting our energy. Think about it. Myths worldwide talk about serpent-like gods. Hinduism has the Nagas. The Aztecs worshipped Quetzalcoatl. The Hopi had the Shetty. Even African shamans talk about Chitauri. And that's all by chance? No way. These beings have been here since the start, manipulating us, feeding off our fear, stress, and anxiety. And that light tunnel in near-death experiences? It's bait. It wipes your memories, sends you back to Earth, and bam, you're stuck in the same cycle. Karma, soul growth, lies to keep you compliant. Tesla said it. Energy, frequency, vibration. They engineered this world to keep us in a low energy state, miserable and controllable. Look around. Wars, greed, chaos. Perfect feeding ground. The question remains, how do we escape? If we even can.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
If this is prison and there's nothing we can do about it, it would be important to look around you and see what makes you happy, because even in the darkest of places, you could find the lightest of blessings.
With all these conflicts going on, it's crazy to think that most people don't even know about the biggest one that we're all a part of. And that's the one going on inside our brains, right now. Now, I'll explain, but it's a bit of a bumpy ride, so you ready? And it starts back in 2013 with this man here and the Brain Initiative.
So there's this enormous mystery waiting to be unlocked. And the Brain Initiative will change that by giving scientists the tools they need to get a dynamic picture of the brain in action and better understand how we think and how we learn and how we remember.
And basically what this is a government-funded program to map out the human brain using AI, neurotechnology, and neuroscience. Now, right off the bat, the Brain Initiative is still a running program that we've pretty much been throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at since its creation. Now, this was started under the scope of helping with things like Alzheimer's or dementia, memory loss, anything that has to do with the brain, which is great. But my question is, if this is done for medical research, then why is the lead institution on this program DARPA, which is a branch of the Department of Defense?
What exactly is DARPA? The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, is a pioneering agency within the United States Department of Defense responsible for spearheading groundbreaking research and development projects. Established in 1958 in response to the Soviet Union's successful launch of the Sputnik satellite.
Now, this initiative is where all the crazy breakthroughs in medical technology come from. But more specifically, nanotechnology, where they control your brain using magnetic fields. This is also the program that funded Smart Dust.
Imagine a world where tiny sensors, no bigger than a grain of sand, create an invisible network that spans the globe. Today, I'm diving into the fascinating world of smart dust, the tech that could revolutionize everything from environmental monitoring to healthcare.
Now, most people have heard of Elon Musk's Neuralink, right? Well, a company that's a part of this initiative is his rival, and that company is called BlackRock Neurotech.
Maybe you've heard of Elon Musk's company Neuralink, which is planning to implant electrodes directly into people's brains to make this possible. But did you know that there are already two companies, BlackRock Neurotech and Synchron, that have already beaten Neuralink to clinical trials? This means that they could become a life-changing medical technology for paralyzed persons in the not-so-distant future.
Now hold on, I know what you're thinking. There is no link between the neurotech and the investment company. But the two main sources of funding for BlackRock Neurotech, one is a man that I get in trouble every time I talk about, so I'm just going to call him Voldemort. And the other is one of the leads in the crypto market right now, Tether. Now, where does that leave us? Well, first we got the Big O, Voldemort, and Tether. And what do they all have in common? Let's see, we got Obama, Voldemort, and Tether. Now, I don't know about you, but those aren't exactly the people I want in charge of mapping my brain out. But maybe I'm wrong. Y'all stay safe.
You have to ask yourself, is there something really so special about us average, normal people that they feel the need to have to control us? Like, is it about just herding the cattle? Or is there something more that they need from us? They really need all that data on all of us. They really need to put those chips in our brain on all of us. What's the main reason? Guaranteed it's not to help us. But I'm starting to lean more towards it is our energy. Maybe it is part of our spirit that they're sucking us dry. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments.
Presentation that I was at, and he said, we should be enjoying in retirement. You know, they're making individuals like my wife look like they're crazy and diagnosing them with schizophrenia, force institutionalizing them, force medicating them, and further re-victimizing them. Bonnie Culleby never consented for those biosensors to be implanted in her body. Those were done non-consensually. And what may surprise you if I asked you, is this legal to do in the United States? And I would come back and say, right now it is currently absolutely legal to do to you without your consent. In 2016, President Obama instituted the 21st Century Cures Act. And it was sold to the American citizens as a way to fight the opioid epidemic, a crisis that we were having here in the United States. But hidden in it was a section called 3024. And in section 3024, the exact language is this: it is legal to experiment on U.S. citizens without their consent as long as it does not exceed minimal risk criteria. Then the question is, what is minimal risk criteria? Nothing that doesn't happen in normal everyday life. And I would ask this: does death happen in normal everyday life? And they're further protected if you are in an IRB and if you do a FOIA request to see if you are in an experiment, it is protected under national security protocol, so that data cannot be shared with you. And in 2024, the Biden administration extended it to cover private entities, private research institutions, and universities.
So I'm sorry. If you go in for like a doctor's visit or someone's going to give you a shot, because Obama instituted this, they could inject you with something you don't even know about?
Absolutely. It's perfectly legal to do.
I'm sure that I'm like many of you, that after 2020 to 2024, I don't get anything put in my body. If it's coming out of a syringe, it does not go in my body. Nope.
We figured it out. Take a bite of our new product. This burger, they call it a product legally. Because legally, they cannot call this a burger if it's not real meat. Don't believe me? Burger spots can legally call products burgers, but they must accurately identify the contents to avoid misbranding, especially for imitation or plant-based items. Imitation or plant-based items. While burger is generally acceptable for meat patties. So they didn't call this burger a burger and they're calling it a product. What does that mean? Now do you believe me? Here's more. Some jurisdictions restrict its use for non-animal products, and some chains may use product to avoid specific legal definitions. To avoid legal definitions. Now, do you still want to try this product? What are your thoughts on this? And don't forget to follow for more news and finance information. God bless.
I am seriously done with McDonald's. No more. The last time I went, the sausage tasted funny. It could have been that I got all these freaking videos and ideas in my head now that there's human meat, but it just didn't taste right. And I haven't gone back since. And I won't, especially knowing that like the oil will stay in your visceral fat for up to 2 years after you eat it. So let's say you have french fries today, that fat is going to stay in your body for 2 years. You're going to be stuck with it because your body cannot break it down. It's insane. I'm not going. Nope, not just McDonald's, any fast food. It's just, I will have to be really hungry.
So Iran is now openly claiming that members of the Epstein class are going to attack America. I'm just going to read this to you. This is an actual verifiable tweet from a man named Ali Larijani. And Ali is the secretary of the Supreme National Security Council of Iran. So he is one of the most powerful individuals in all of Iran. And he's extremely plugged into intelligence. So obviously he knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Now keep in mind that this could be a lie. This could be propaganda. However, I am going to read this to you. And to the TikTok censors, this is verifiable information and a developing news story. So Ali tweeted, I've heard that the remaining members of Epstein's network have devised a conspiracy to create an incident similar to, I'm just going to let you read that number because I don't want to get censored, and blame Iran for it. Iran fundamentally opposes such terrorist schemes and has no war with the American people. So this is coming from this guy, one of the most powerful individuals in all of Iran. And as we know, Iran has been talking a lot about the Epstein files. And, you know, Iran is actually mentioned in the Epstein files a number of times. So what do you make of this? I'm very curious to see what you guys think. And for Censors Online, this is reporting on a issue in the news. This is reported by mainstream media. This is independently verifiable. I don't know. I'm sorry I have to be overly cautious, but I have had 7 different videos taken down this week, and they don't give me a chance to appeal. So I do not want this to happen again with this video. So I'm being explicitly clear that this information is verifiable.
It's crazy how many things are connected to the files now.
Listen up. So a second scientist has been killed on the front porch of his California home. This guy right here, Carl Grillmeyer. He passed away on February the 16th, and he was an astronomer. So just after 6 a.m. Monday, February the 16th, detectives with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department responded to reports of an assault with a deadly weapon in Llano. On his front porch, they found 67-year-old astrophysicist Carl Grillmeyer suffering from a gunshot wound, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. Now this is strange, but it gets stranger because just a couple of months ago, we had another scientist killed, Nuno Felipe. He died on December the 16th. So he dies on the 16th, and then 2 months later, he dies on the 16th of February. Now, Nuno was a plasma specialist and professor at MIT, but they both were 2 respected scientists versed in planetary catastrophes. And they both were shot 2 months after each other. One on the front porch and then one in his foyer. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I see a pattern. This man was studying asteroids and comets that posed a threat to Earth. And this one was a plasma scientist doing the same kind of work. And remember, we had 3I Atlas that was supposed to be near the Earth in December. And now we have a comet called MAPS. And the comet MAPS is in the constellation Cetus, which is like Leviathan, a sea monster. A suspended NOAA satellite chief warns of threats to federal science program. We also know that Kash Patel just fired a bunch of people in the unit that studies threats in the U.S. So now we have these comets that somewhat pose a threat to Earth, and then 2 scientists die. I don't know, this all gives me the movie Don't Look Up vibes. We pretty much have the same administration that's in that movie, and then we have this threat and nobody cares, or nobody's watching.
So I have a theory that the disclosure that's supposed to come out with them admitting that there's aliens, all these scientists that are missing, I think that they had a different narrative than the one that they're going to try to push. And so the scientists weren't going to go along with the new narrative. So they said, okay, well, that's just my guess. Tell me what you think.
Anyone else remember the dad who unalived his children in the most horrific way because he was convinced that they were reptilian? This happened just after the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, where conspiracy theories were running rampant and rumors of reptile-like creatures disguising themselves as humans started flooding the internet. By all accounts, Matthew Taylor Coleman was a loving and devoted father, and his wife Abby would later tell law enforcement that there was apparently no indication that he would ever harm their children. So how did he become this monster? Well, at some point during the pandemic, Matthew and his wife Abby, along with many others around the world, began to drift towards some very interesting theories. Abby began following anti-vax Facebook groups, and Matthew began posting on social media in the cryptic language of QAnon. Matthew's friends noticed that these conspiracy theories were taking over his life, and that he would make it a point to share his new beliefs with anyone who would listen. Despite his growing obsession with these theories, no one could have imagined what would come next. On August 7th, 2021, Matthew and Abby Coleman had planned to take their two children on a camping trip. Instead, Matthew left with the kids alone and gave his wife no indication of where they were going. Abby reported this to local police but insisted that she wasn't concerned about her husband hurting their children. But when police found that Matthew's last known whereabouts were in Mexico, red flags started flying. Local police called the FBI to assist with the now potential parental kidnapping case, but Matthew would cross back over the border without needing extradition. The FBI was there to meet him, and what they found was horrifying. Matthew was alone, and his registration papers had blood on them. After getting in touch with Mexican authorities, it was confirmed that a local rancher had just found Matthew's two children deceased in a ditch. Both of them had been shot multiple times in the chest by a fishing spear gun and left to die. One of his children was 2 years old, and the other was only 10 months. Matthew claimed that he had no choice but to unalive his children because they had, quote, serpent DNA, and they were destined to grow into monsters. While being held in prison, a notion to forcefully medicate Matthew was filed, citing that he posed a risk to himself and to others. It was reported that while in custody, he cut himself with a razor, dove headfirst into a toilet, punched himself in the face, and slammed his head into the floor. Their hope in medicating him is that it'll make him competent enough to stand trial, but his condition or the status of his trial hasn't been updated since last year.
That's insane. Like, I just can't imagine the darkness that you have to be in to even be able to harm your own children. Any child, for that matter. It's disgusting. And I mean, how deep did he have to be into these online conspiracies to actually let them take over his life like that? Makes you think it was like some kind of brainwashing, or drug use even. That's insane. I hope that those children's souls rest in peace. That's just awful. And then, where's the wife? Oh my God. Can you imagine? Put yourself in those shoes. Wow.
They are all lying to you, and here is your proof. Be right back.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers. We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary, short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain. Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short-term.
Short-term.
Short-term, 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 and long-term.
Short-term.
Hopefully, make sure you get this out there like wildfire. Here's the problem. Mostly everybody in America is brainwashed. Fear-mongering, right? No, it's the truth. And they say, oh, you're watching the wrong news station. It's all of them. Don't y'all remember what Operation Mockingbird is? We'll get to this in 1 second. Let me make this clear for people who still believe their TV screen. If you don't have independent journalists on the ground in these locations, you're going to be out of the loop and completely unaware of anything that's happening. I have those things, and so do other people. There is no right media station. But yeah, shoot the messenger as always. Listen.
You just wait to see what comes in the next 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks meaning what?
we're going to blow the hell out of these people. This regime is in a death row now. It is going to be on its knees. It's going to fall. And when it falls, we're going to have peace.
When it falls, they're going to have peace. When they say peace and safety. Parallels, as always. Get this out there. Let me know what you think. Why do all these people still believe what's on their TV screen?
Sounds like a bunch of BS to me.
They think we're stupid. And the problem with that is, they're right. So I don't know if you heard about what's going on in Australia right now, but check this out. They're doing a first of its kind social media ban for any kids that are under the age of 16.
Kids under the age of 16 in Australia are being forced off social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram. Here's the complete list. Australia's ban for young users went into effect a few hours ago, making it the first country to set a minimum age for the legal access to top popular platforms.
Well, say what you want about this whole thing, that really doesn't matter. I want you to listen to what this guy says about how they're going to detect if somebody's underage or not. Literally saying the quiet part out loud.
The platform is now requesting documents to prove a user's date of birth, or even using AI to scan faces and estimate a person's age. Australian officials say the move could create a domino effect, with other countries following suit.
So through phones, you're going to scan people's faces and estimate what age they are, which essentially means you know where they're at, right? You know, I'm just asking because 37,000 is a pretty wild number. And as far as the domino effect, I'd have to agree with that one because this number, both of these numbers are pretty insane. So instead of taking kids' social media, maybe you should work on that. Y'all stay safe.
Yeah, that's a crazy thought to me. I think that, children to a certain age should not be allowed on social media because it's messing with their heads. And I mean, we've already seen what TikTok trends can do to their life. So, there should be an age limit on social media. Don't come at me. But the fact that they would be scanning their faces I'm not sure, what is he implying with the missing cases? US had the highest one, if you didn't see. Would they be looking for children that way? Or is he implying that that's how they're going to go missing?
Legend has it that every time an angel appears to a human, the very first words out of the angel's mouth are always the same. Be not afraid. But here's the part that people don't exactly realize. The angel isn't saying it to comfort you. It's a warning, because what you're actually looking at would literally shatter your mind if you saw it without that preparation. The thing is, we have paintings, we have sculptures, and we have centuries of art showing us what angels look like. Beautiful beings with soft wings and glowing halos. Those paintings are lies. Real biblical angels, well, they're cosmic horror. They're being so utterly other that human consciousness almost can't process them. Multiple faces, infinite eyes that cover their entire bodies, wheels made of fire rotating through dimensions, wings that move in impossible geometric patterns, bodies made of pure celestial light that would incinerate anything unworthy of standing in their presence. When the prophets saw them, they didn't say, "Oh, how beautiful." They fell on their faces in absolute terror and begged not to be destroyed. And this is what biblically accurate angels actually are. So in the book of Ezekiel, the prophet encounters an angel and describes it like this: a being covered in eyes. Not eyes on a face, eyes covering every inch of its body. Multiple faces pointing in different directions. Wheels within wheels covered in more eyes. Wings that move in perfect synchronization with the rings, which rotate in all directions simultaneously, creating a hypnotic, impossible geometry of movement and perception. Ezekiel saw one and fell on his face in horror. This is the Ophanim, the throne angels. They're the chariot bearers of God, the highest order of celestial beings in Jewish mysticism. Their name means the Watchers, and they exist to observe all of creation simultaneously. Every eye represents awareness. They see past, present, and future all at once. They perceive dimensions we can't even conceptualize. But that's just one type of angel. Then there are the seraphim, the six-winged burning ones. Isaiah encounters them in the temple, and they're so radiant, so incandescent with divine fire that the very foundation of the building shakes. Their wings are described as burning with holiness, not metaphorically burning, literally wreathed in celestial flame that purifies and annihilates anything unworthy of God's presence. The seraphim are the closest beings to God in the celestial hierarchy, and when they move through heaven, reality warps around them. And when Isaiah saw him, he immediately cried out that he was unworthy and that his lips were unclean. And then there were the cherubim. Depicted in popular culture as chubby babies, but the actual biblical cherubim are warriors. They're portrayed as having multiple bodies, multiple faces, sometimes described as having a lion's face, an ox's face, an eagle's face, and a human face all in the same creature. They have enormous wings that span rooms. They carry flaming swords, and when God places them at the gates of Eden after humanity's expulsion, they're there to annihilate anyone who tries to return, not to gently shoo people away. The cherubim are God's enforcers, divine soldiers. And then there are the standard angels. They're what we'd recognize more readily, like Gabriel or Michael, but even these aren't how we imagine them. When Gabriel appears to Mary in Luke's gospel, the very first thing he says is, "Do not be afraid," because his mere presence, his celestial form, is so overwhelming that Mary is terrified. Gabriel has to spend the first moments of the encounter calming her down before he can even deliver his message. Now, Michael the archangel is described as a cosmic warrior, leading God's army against Satan's forces. In Revelation, a war breaks out in heaven. Michael and his angels fighting the dragon and his angels. The description is apocalyptic, violent, and cosmic. Michael isn't gentle. He's militant. He's the embodiment of divine will made manifest. So here's what makes biblically accurate angels so mystically profound. They exist in a completely different mode of being than humans do. They operate outside of normal physics. They perceive reality differently with infinite eyes from infinite angles, seeing what cannot be seen. They're beings of pure light and fire made of celestial substance that exists partially outside of our three-dimensional space. So when humans see them, not in paintings but really encounter them, the consistent reaction is terror followed by awe. The angels have to tell people, be not afraid, because human consciousness almost can't process what it's witnessing. It's too much, too real, too powerful, and too other. In Jewish mysticism, an angel is an emanation of God's name, literally a manifestation of divine attributes given form and agency. And when an angel appears, you're not meeting a servant of God. You're encountering a piece of God's will made visible in a form consciousness can almost handle. Now, the Kabbalists understood this. They taught that to truly perceive an angel is to come close to perceiving God itself. The light is blinding, the presence is overwhelming, the intelligence is inhuman and absolute, and most people have it backwards. We've sentimentalized angels, made them cute and safe and manageable, but the real biblical angels are the opposite. They're the edge where human consciousness meets infinity, where the finite touches the infinite, and the experience is so intense that it truly breaks people. So when the Bible says fear God, it means fear this. Fear being so far beyond human comprehension that they literally glow with power, covered in eyes that see everything, moving through dimensions that we can't access, emanating such pure divine force that they have to calm humans down just to prevent our minds from breaking. That's the mystical reality. Not clouds and not harps, but cosmic watchers, celestial warriors, and beings of pure manifestation made from the substance of divinity itself. So the next time you see a cute cherub painting in church, remember what you're actually looking at. A warrior covered in faces with a flaming sword, standing guard at the gates of paradise. Now, if you want to explore more about the hidden nature of spiritual entities and biblical mysticism, make sure to like the video, let me know what you think about these biblically accurate angels in the comments below, and follow for more deep dives like this. Till next time.
Idea of biblically accurate angels, just like the paintings and the art that we have now, like with the spinning, what do you call it? I don't even know. The spinning wheel with the eyes that just, I think they are beautiful. Maybe it's like a sense of security knowing that it is an angel. Fear not, and do not be afraid. Thanks for joining me today. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the videos. If I earned your subscription, please give me a like as well. Please be sure to leave a comment. It helps the channel. And everyone, please be safe out there. It is a holiday weekend, so you know that there will be drunk drivers. If you are drinking, please stay home or stay wherever you are, or call an Uber. Like, there's no reason to be driving. Until next time.